Best store ever. It appears to be yet another morning, and it is actually kind of a nice day. I don't know if you can see out there, but like there's blue sky, and yeah, seems to be a thing. No snow, no rain. Excellent. Anywho, today's one of those days that's going to be pretty busy. I've got to run around and pick up some stuff, move a soccer chair, probably do some adjustments on another chair, and then I don't even know. Oh yeah, I've got to grab some pellets, but yeah, I'm not sure what today is. I just grabbed this little camera, and we're going to see what develops. Welcome to another classic vlog, I guess. Yeah, let's see what happens today. Random update. Yesterday I spent all day getting this Gateway all-in-one computer set up. It's got Linux Ubuntu on it now. And what I'm doing is I installed a podcast server called Audio Bookshelf on there. And there's an app for your phone that links to this thing. Now, right now it's only on the local network and I don't have it accessible from the outside. But I was getting super annoyed by all of the podcast apps and everything out there. And mostly how all of them want to charge you a monthly fee now for basic functionality. So anyways, this is an open source thing. It will run on Windows. Wait, will it run on Windows? I think you've got to run Docker or something to use it on Windows. But anyways, this thing was set up with Ubuntu, so we're trying it out. The app is on iOS and Android. It is on test flight with Apple devices, so it's sort of like their developer thing or whatever. But it allows you to download the podcast to your phone, and it manages everything. Doesn't cost any money. But yeah, every once in a while I get super annoyed by something, and I just go way down the rabbit hole and try to come up with a solution. Now, Plex, which is a media server, they used to support podcasts, but they pulled support for that a couple of years ago. I guess it never worked properly. So anyways, I've got some stuff synced to my phone. Ideally, once I get this set up properly, I will be able to access it remotely outside the network. But the way my network is here and also at the warehouse, it's not really possible to access any devices here outside without some specialized things going on. So anyways, I think what we're going to do right now is go grab some pellets and then see what's next. Just tried to open the door in the van and it didn't seem to want to do it. Let's try that again. There we go. I need to get the power door motor replaced on this thing. It has a clutch inside that wears out after a while. By the way, it's kind of windy out here. Hopefully the mics on this little $13 camera work okay. And the new tires on the F3 here are still doing great. Getting up this ramp into the van is one of the reasons I wanted to replace them. But as you can see, we got a little bit of dirt on there. Kind of unavoidable. I'm constantly running around in gravel, and there isn't really much I can do about that. Nice thing about this van is it usually fires up with no fanfare. You turn the key and it works. Yeah. Put some air in the airbags. There we go. Usually about 30 PSI is all we need with this thing. I think there is a problem with this little valve here, though. That releases air, but sometimes this thing will hold pressure for like a week, and other times it'll lose it throughout a whole day, or just over the course of one day. There's a little tiny Schrader valve in there, so I think at some point today we might stop and unscrew this and see if we can't adjust it. I think there might be a little leak. But that's super handy because we're going to be moving some chairs around today so we can adjust the air shocks on the back of this thing. Which, by the way, they're just kind of some random airlift shocks off of like a S10 pickup or something. I can't remember exactly what they're from, but they happen to fit this van perfectly. Before I go anywhere, I usually come out here and fire up the van and get it warmed up because the transmissions and other things on these engines don't appreciate being railed on when they're cold. So I'm going to run back inside real quick, grab a few more things that I need, and we'll get on the road. Other essentials for the day: tough pad, battery pack, and another camera. So apparently I spent too much time screwing around, and my friend just texted me and said he's ready for the chair to be picked up. So we're gonna have to grab that first, then we'll go get the pellets. Although there isn't gonna be a lot of room in here for both. And we'll figure it out. By the way, Handle on the Law with Bill Handel. Great radio show, and there is a podcast of it available now too. Just go to wherever you get your podcasts and look for that guy there. He's pretty hilarious. Well, this McDonald's is in an interesting neighborhood. I stopped to use the bathroom real quick, and two guys came up to my van, one on each side, and I think they were gonna ask for money or something. One of them wandered off, and the other one, when I started opening my door, came around to the other side and was standing there. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna need you to back up. He's like, okay, and wanders off, and no, he's like standing over there, but anyways, kind of weird. All right, we have a soccer chair in here. And now it is time to take it to where it needs to be delivered. That's a weird way to say that. We're gonna drop it off somewhere. That's kind of funny. So I'm in a drive-thru here getting coffee because, you know, what else am I doing? And the lady's like, she looks in the van, and obviously, you know, I've got hand controls and I'm in a wheelchair and everything. She's like, oh, would you like me to have them double cup that coffee for you? I'm like, no, I'm good. And then she pauses and she's like horrified by what she said. She's like, oh, I didn't mean like I think you need it or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I was like, they get confused really easily. And she's like, yes, they do. So I thought that was kind of funny. I love when people say stuff and then they're horrified by what they just said and start backpedaling. It's like, lady, it doesn't matter. I said, no, we're good. Just move on with your life. I always thought these Nissan Cubes looked kind of strange. Meh. Well, apparently this place is out of heating pellets. It's 7 o'clock at night, so hopefully I can find some place that has them, because I'm out. So much for planning ahead. If we can just put them widthwise on the floor, kind of right back there. Back there? Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Thank you.
All right, we got the old green Supreme. I have to tilt my chair down and forward so I can get up to the driver's seat without hitting my head on the ceiling. Okay, so here's our air shock control panel here. When you press this button, it fires up the compressor and it puts more air in the bags. And then when you press this, it dumps the air out. You'll see the needle go down. This thing is basically just a little Schrader valve in here. And what's been going on is sometimes this thing will hold pressure for a week or more, and then other times it'll bleed off throughout the day. Now, the way they set this up is this is just a fitting with a little button here. And you can see this button has a little bit of slack, and that's needed to keep it from pressing on the Schrader valve. But I think maybe the valve is not seated in there all the way. So we're gonna pull this off of here real quick and just double check that. It's just sort of a knurled thing or whatever that unscrews here. So, whoop, that just basically unscrews. And all it is a little threaded metal piece with this button, and that simply falls out, I guess. And that simply presses on this little Schrader valve that's in here. This is the only variable in the whole system. So, yeah, actually, I don't know if you can see, but that's a little bit crooked. So I've got a valve stem removal tool here. We're gonna try and pull this out and just make sure it's seated in there all the way. Okay, there we go. There's our valve. And to my eye, it looks pretty clean. And down inside there looks pretty good too.
So I'm just gonna spit on this thing a little bit and put it back in here. That should help it seat. And we'll crank it back down and see if that makes any difference. This is just one of those airlift kit control panel things that you can get on Amazon for the air shocks that are on the back of this van. And you don't want to crank these crazy tight, but you want to get them tight enough, just kind of snug, so that we're not going to get air leaking out of there around the seal. There we go. I think that feels pretty good. So let's put a little more air in the system. There we go. That should be enough to do something. And then we're just going to moisten this slightly and see if we get any bubbles out of there. And I'm not seeing anything. Excellent. Depending on how far this nut is unscrewed and how far this screws on there, it can cause it to press on that valve constantly. So we're going to back that out to about there. Maybe a little more. Put our star washer back on here. Put this thing in. And this is literally just a piece of aluminum with a pin that goes through it. So pretty simple way of getting this done. Now see, we don't have much slack right there, so I'm going to unscrew that a little bit more. Tighten up the nut on the back a little bit more. And tighten this back down. There we go. Now there's a decent amount of play in that. Okay, so I don't usually need to dump these bags very often. So we're going to go ahead and pump this thing up to, like, I don't know, 60 PSI. And leave it there overnight and see what we get. Normally when I'm driving around, I only have it at about 30 PSI. That's all that's needed if I don't have another chair in the back. But yeah, this is just one thing I've never checked when I installed this whole thing. So I figure, good way of doing it. There's just a hard air line that runs up here to this, and it's a momentary switch that powers up the compressor. So pretty simple setup, but yeah, hopefully that'll take care of it. We'll find out tomorrow.
Oh, there's kind of a weird shot. Anyways, this van had the shock mounts break on the back of it at one point, which tends to happen on these minivans. And the kneeling system is just a big actuator that grabs a hold of the axle with a giant chain and pulls it down. Well, that all broke a long time ago, so just had air shocks fitted on the back of it when previous owner had it. And I forget what they were off of. I think it was some sort of like S10 pickup or maybe an Astro van or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but they bolted right on there and they seemed to work pretty good. When I got the van, it just had a Schrader valve on the back bumper, so you had to pump it up manually. So I added that pump and everything. I think I mentioned it in a previous video briefly, but yeah, it seems to work pretty good. The ramp is pretty steep on this thing though, because I've got the really big tires on it now. So yeah, anyways, it's nice being able to adjust that because I can put chairs in the back and the van doesn't seem to care. All right, there we go. I think that's most of the stuff for today. Got the soccer chair picked up, got it delivered, then met up with a couple of friends and we went to a local like pub or whatever, hung out there for a bit. Got some pellets and yeah, here we are. I'm not sure what's next. I don't know if I've filmed enough for a whole video yet. And there's backup beepers. But tomorrow we're doing a power soccer fundraiser at a bar or a brew house, or I think it's one of those microbrew places, all the way clear over a couple towns over. But they're donating a portion of the sales from that night. I think from like 3 to 9 p.m. or something like that. But yeah, we're gonna go do that tomorrow, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if we're bringing the kiosk TV. I should probably verify that to see if I need to bring the DVD player and stuff. But anyways, I'm gonna get some food real quick and then figure out what's next, if anything. All right, it is the next morning, and it would appear as though we have lost some pressure overnight. But that's been, what, 18 hours now? And we only dropped about 20 PSI.
So, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. It's not very hard to hit that button in the morning, so I think we'll just call that good. Problem solved? Question mark? But wait, there's more.
10, 5, 3, 1. So, yeah, so this is 1 point. Has to just cut through it just a little bit.
Can try your hand at axe throwing? All right, so we're here at this brewery. Ryan said he wanted to do a live stream, so I brought all of the gear. There's not a whole lot of cell signal here, so I've got the live view set up there. We're running OBS on the laptop. It's outputting to the live view and it's handling the stream. Then we've got microphones, we've got the big camera. So yeah, I think we should be set to go here in a couple hours. Here comes the airplane.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Don't laugh now. Here comes the train. It's Coach, by the way.
God, sorry.
Coach Ryan.
That's going on live later.
Oh, yes.
No more beer for this guy.
So, yes, here's the live stream. Say hello, chat. And you'll be in the video because I don't know what else to do. Yeah, so we got the live view back here, giant camera, laptop, all the things.
You're in the middle. As long as he's using colorless sides, it's going to flow.
So Enoch was going to do the axe throwing tonight, but they've got an actual like professional tournament going on in there, so there's no extra time slots. But yeah, interesting. Throwing axes at the wall inside a cage gets my vote. All right, I'm tired. Do I look tired? It's like 100-something miles of driving today, but yeah, we had a fundraiser at a local-ish brewery. Did I say I drove 100 miles? Anyways, it was a lot of driving. But basically what they were doing was from 3 to 9 p.m. they were donating 10% of all the sales at the entire place to our Power Soccer team. So I think we did over $1,500 or something like that. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. We have a tournament trip coming up here soon. I'll give more details about that later on. But we're gonna go play a few other teams, I guess, and get our 6 games in so we can make our way onto the I'm terrible with terminology right now. Whatever the professional requirements are, you have to play a certain number of games per year to move into the other stuff or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'll catch you guys on the live stream tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out.